Hello, everybody, or whoever might be in here. I don't think anyone's in here. Maybe so, but we'll see. Hope everybody's doing great. Uh, Past few days, man, have been rough. Been working my tail off trying to get this loft finished, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm almost there, hoping to finish it today or tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Okay. So let's see. I'm a little. I'm tired. In my head, I ain't thinking too quick. So bear with me a little bit. I've got all of the joists in, which is awesome. It's probably the second hardest part of it, other than putting the beams up. Uh, the next thing to do is put my braces in and put my plywood on, and that's where I'm going to be for a little while, for quite some time, because the next phase of it, it looks like it's going to be it'll be a significant amount of work. So the next phase after this is building walls, putting up whatever I'm going to use as a wall covering, whether it be sheetrock or what, I don't know. Um, Flooring, you know, not lighting. Well, yeah, lighting and electrical, my outlets and everything. There's a lot to it, and that's a project that is probably won't start till this time next year, maybe later, because it'll be a little expensive. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. How you doing, Rob? How you doing, Scott? How you doing, Pete? Hope everyone's great. Uh, yeah. Tomorrow morning, well, tonight, I'm gonna go put my truck on a charger. For those that have been in the lives, y'all have heard me talk about my uh, F-350 needs batteries, right? I still haven't replaced them. And I got out in town last week sometime, maybe the week before. And I was actually at O'Reilly's and I picked up some DEF. And I fired the truck up, and every warning light on it came on and stayed on until I made it to Home Depot, and I shut it down. I went in to get whatever I was getting, come back out, and they all went out. I think, from my understanding, sometimes it'll do that when your batteries are low on juice, and yeah. So, so I need to get some batteries, but I'm just it's not a priority right now. So I'll go put it on the charger tonight, and I'm going to go pick up all my plywood tomorrow. I think it's 10 sheets. Uh 16 by 20. It should be 10 sheets. 4 divided into 20 is 5. 8 into 2 is, 8 into 16 is 2. So that gives me 10. And I'm going to buy one extra sheet because I've got, you know, other stuff to do. But I'm going to get that. I've been weighing the braces as to when I want to put them in. So I first start my first thought was I'm going to put them in after I put my plywood down. But then I got to thinking the any of the joists that are bowed are going to stay bowed. But if I put in the braces now, I can cut them all the same length and put them in there and pull the braces as straight as can be. Um, I don't know. I'm still weighing my options. Not looking forward to it because that means standing on the scaffold that much more and fooling with it. But I don't know. There is that. Let's see. Looks like a project, that's for sure. Yeah, it's been a hell of a project. Yes, sir. Scott, I've been working hard, man. I've been busting my tail. I've had help one a little bit, just a little bit. My son helped me put the beams up, and I've did the joist. He helped me go get the beams, and he would have helped me more. So don't anyone. He would have helped me a whole lot more. But like yesterday, what's today? Sunday, Saturday, Friday. I knew he had to go back to work on Saturday. I didn't want to bother him on his last day off. Things like that. And I could handle it on my own. I did reach out to a few people and see if they could come help, and I'd pay them. But I work. I'm a night person, so when it's time for me to go out and work, it might be 3, 4 in the evening when I finally get to going, and then it's 12, 1 o'clock in the morning before I'm through. So, but the joist, it wasn't super hard by myself. I think the hardest parts of it were picking the 16 footer up, the 16-foot 2x10s, picking them up and put them on my miter saw. And then after that, I got a little tired lifting them up and propping them up on the scaffold, and then getting up on the scaffold and lifting the 8 footers up and put them up there. They ain't actually 8 foot; it's somewhere between 7 and 8 foot. So there's that. So it hasn't been too bad. And in all reality, I I think I've got someone coming tomorrow to help me finish it off. Um, but I don't really need it, but it's going to help me finish it a whole lot sooner. So hopefully it'll help me finish it off tomorrow completely. Let's see. Doing well. Hope to get back into normal routine here. I understand. Holidays are awesome, but it kind of gets you out of the swing of things and you kind of lose track of what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, Pete, it's been it's been something. Yeah, Scott, I understand it messes with I really need to fix it because there ain't no I don't know if it could mess something up, but yeah, I really need to get it right, Scott. My batteries. Typical dad just wants to get it done. Yeah. So, Pete, that what I'm doing right now will be my man cave slash bar. Um, that what I really need to do when it comes to storage is get rid of some stuff because I'm a pack rat. But the main thing is doing is I'm finally opening up that area downstairs below that area I'm just doing, and it's going to be organized in a way where I can park my tractor in there and maybe another car if I need to, and still park something in like my big truck in the bay, in one of the bays, and have a, you know, whatever. So let's say right now I've got my Fairlane and my Mustang essentially filling up one bay. The Mustang is sideways, and then the car is pulled in regular. That leaves that one bay empty, the other bay empty, but I've been trying to keep my tractor in there. Makes it easier for when I need to use it, especially in the winter. It's not in there right now. But now that I've opened that up, I've got it set up to where a, I'll have it set up where I've got space for everything to keep it nice and neat. I can park my tractor in there. When I need to use that area for welding, I can pull my tractor out and pull my welding tables out and use them and push them back under there and be done. That space under the stairs and all of it, it should be pretty decent. And as soon, remember last year I was supposed to get my Fairlane running. As soon as I get my Fairlane running, there's a bunch of parts up there that go to it. That will free up some space as well. And I got to organize. There's some of that stuff up there that is trash. I just got to go through it and get rid of it. I know it's trash, but there's never enough time to go through it. I've got papers that I need to go through with my mom and dad's. I want to make sure I'm not throwing away anything important. Should be barely anything, but you never know. I might find something that was super important that got put in these papers. Um, I'm gonna have a yard sale too. Once I get stuff sort of straight, I might have a yard sale because I've been putting up tools. I've got a lot of extra tools. Got some stuff I'll never use again. So I'm probably gonna have a yard sale and try to get rid of some stuff. I think I covered all that now. See, pack rat, I heard that. uh, Appreciate it, Pete. You saying it's going to be awesome. Rare throwing, yeah. I don't. I'm going to tell you how bad I am in just a second. Organization is key. Yeah, it's. I'm going to have a lot of organization in there, and I'm going to put stuff so that I know exactly where it's at and can get to it and use it, and it won't be a pain in the butt to go grab it and use it, except for a few things like my planer. It's going to stay up there, but I'm going to have an area put aside that just has woodworking stuff on wheels. Everything's right there where I can go and grab it and use it. And it's going to be that little area under the bridge, if y'all can picture it, under the bridge between my little skinny loft that has all the shelves on it and the bigger loft with the small room underneath, not the big room that I just fixing. Scott, I key to everything. Eventually, I do find a use for it. How you doing, Sizzle? I mean, if you need my address again, let me know. Whatever it is, so I can re-own. I understand. Can I load up my truck and get in on that yard sale thing? Sure, brother. Come on up. Uh, Made a portable workbench with doors and all. Let me tell you, everything packs in nice. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to make a work wood workbench slash outfeed table. I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna put my little bitty cheap saw on wheels, and I'm still undecided whether I want a big saw, a big uh, Not bandsaw. Ah, I forget what's table saw. I'm still trying to figure out whether I want a big table saw. Mine, think back to when Ryobi used to be blue. That's my table saw. I've had it, it's at least 2000. I bought it sometime between 2008, no, 2007 and 2010, somewhere in there. But yeah, see, hee haw. I mean, back then they made them to last. Here's my only real. I got two problems with it. One, it's light. Now that would be great because it's semi-portable, right? But when you kick it on, it moves it. And it doesn't stay still. Like you have to, you know, hold it down somehow while you're ripping boards. Number two, the fence has always been a piece of shit. Just sorry for all my cussing tonight, but it is. It's a piece of junk. And I bought me a miter uh, gauge for it, and it's too big. It won't fit. It doesn't have a standard miter gauge slot, which is 5/8 or 3/4, something like that. So I'm what I was going to do when I bought that miter gauge is there's some other stuff I could buy for it to sort of make it better. But I bought that miter gauge and I got it and it doesn't work. And I can't find one that's made for it that's not the cheap little piece of crap that comes with it. Now, can I make my own, like a miter gauge box or something? Yeah. And I might do that. But what I'm going to do if I keep it, I'm going to essentially build a little tray in the bottom of it. Well, I'm going to put wheels on it, build a tray in the bottom of it, put a sandbag down there. Then I'll fix my fence issues and my miter gauge issues. So I don't know. I mean, other than it does pretty decent. Now, when you're cutting a long rip of like a a pressure treated two by, especially pine, that's real has a lot of it I can't call it knots, but it's the pine resin, the resinous, the hard part. It it struggles with that. If it's mostly softwood, it'll go through it like a hot knife through butter. But when it's harder and thick, hard and thick, it struggles. But yeah. I mean, I made a portable book. Yeah. It tries to walk on it. Yeah, it don't wanna stay there. Uh let's see, what's tonight's? So this Joseph Magnus. I know I've tasted it in here before. It's a cigar blend. This bourbon, I was really, is it a bourbon? Yeah, it's a bourbon. It is finished in Armagnac, sherry, cognac, Armagnac, sherry, and cognac casks. Batch 281, 58.3% alcohol by volume. So 116.6 proof. So I really wanted this bottle, and I'd heard great things about it. Everyone talked it up, and I got it, and I just didn't care too much for it. But it is set, and it is hopefully mellowed a little bit. So what happens As you get more air in the bottle, it allows some of the alcohol to evaporate, and that allows it to breathe a little bit and it tastes a little better. Plus, it oxidizes, and for some reason, me, I found that it starts tasting better the older I've got it. I've got a bunch of bottles that are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Now it doesn't age in the bottle. I know that. But for some reason it starts tasting better to me. So two things. As it's been open, air in the bottle and it ages or it gets older. How about that? And the second thing is I like to drink it somewhere at a lot of like about high 70s degrees here. So let's see if I enjoy it anymore. Said all that just to hope that I enjoyed it more. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't one of the more expensive bottles I've got, but it wasn't cheap either. This was north of 200. I want to say it was 225. And I probably paid too much for it, but I wanted it. So uh I've been doing some ryes here lately. Really enjoy Sazerac. I got it Buffalo Trace. You know, I think the only time I've tried that Sazerac, no, twice. I've tried it twice. Once at Sazerac in New Orleans, and once when we all went to Buffalo Trace, talking with Scott there. It smells good. Cheers. Mm. It is better. It does taste better. It's still hot, but that doesn't bother me. It's when I don't mind a hot bourbon, a higher proof. What I mind is when it tastes like it hasn't been aged at all, and all I can taste is alcohol. I don't like it, and it ends up, you know, that ends up what turns me off on some of them. Now, like they warming it up just a little bit, not putting it on a boiler and boiling it, but warming it up in a little bit helps with that strong alcohol flavor. But yeah. So I said I was going to tell y'all an example of my ratedness, and here it is. About 5 years ago, I started keeping all of the foam packing material that came with anything we bought, and I had my what's the name? I had a box that my hot water heater had come in. Well, first of all, I'd throw it up in my attic in my attached garage, and then I started filling up that box that my water heater comes in, and the goal was to throw it all up into my garage and spread it out. And then when I finally got around to it, I'd blow in insulation, and that'd be that much less I needed. But that's me being a pack rat. Okay. I even kept the old stinky uh, floor padding to use as insulation in my wife's she shed. Now it doesn't stink anymore. It's aired out a little bit, but that's me. That's how much of a pack rat I am. And it could also mean I'm a cheap ass. It might mean I'm a cheap ass, but I would much rather spend that money on tools than on something that I get for free and can reuse in a different way. uh, Ends up sitting on a shelf. Yeah, I've got a few that I'm not sure I'll ever drink. Maybe not. I like I said, I tend to like them once they've been sitting for a minute. Hold on now. Can you get your wife to get us the real info? What's the real info you need? I'm an open book. I'm gonna be as straight with you as possible, no matter how bad it makes me look. I tell you, floor insulation in a shed like that, I use 2x2 carpet squares for crazy cheap. Cheap works amazing for insulating the layer of rubber backing. That's a good idea. I am going to put down a. I am going to put a underpinning, underpinning on it. And if it ain't too bad, I might crawl under there and staple up some insulation if it ain't too hard, or do something like you've done. I've even thought about taking some foam board, placing it in the floor, and then putting plywood down on top of it, you know. Yeah, the wife would give you a sure enough lowdown on my hoarding situation. It it's bad. Every now and then I'll finally decide to throw something away. I've got motorcycle and hot rod magazines out the yin yang. I've also got a ton of books that I've either read or planned to read. Um, all of my I'm a member of the AMA, American Motorcycle Association, and I keep them. And I've only probably skimmed through one or two of them. I end up throwing those away. Um, they would be great reading, but there's so I consume a lot of material, whether it be hard reading material or articles online. I'm constantly reading crap. Uh, Scott knows about the AMA mags. Let's see. Yeah, I get, plus the all of us guys, I'm sure you all keep screws and nuts and bolts and stuff because maybe it'll be useful at some point. I even I got finally got rid of them. I think I got rid of all of them. I was keeping bent nails and stuff because I thought maybe I can use this as filler when I've got a big gap on something that's not structural to weld, and I'll use it as filler. And okay, I'm not going to tell you any more about how bad of a pack rat I am. That's it. That's as far as I'm going, which is pretty dang far. It is. It is. The heat does take away from the taste a little. It gives me some weird flavors at the back of my throat, and it's kind of So, yeah, you should see my yard. There's there's yards that we drive by, me and my wife, and she said, "You know what that's called?" And I'll be what she'll say, "That's a nope." You ever seen the yard that had it looked like a junkyard, but it wasn't just cars. It was old bicycles and riding lawnmowers and it was full. Well, that's what she says no to. So I've taken liberties with that and I've got some junk in the back of the yard, but I'm trying to keep it from migrating too much further. The goal is it doesn't migrate anywhere past the back of the house. Uh, let's see. I'm your pack rat spirit animal. Temperature plays a huge factor on those. Served cold, it's going to have a real nasty bite to it. Bitters are more potent. Yeah. Flamingos and gnomes. No, I am not a flamingo and gnome person. That being said, we have a couple of, when I say couple, we've got like four, maybe five little yard ornaments. The wife's got a cardinal, a frog, something on a truck. It might be a frog on a truck. Uh, one or two more. I don't know. That's her deal. But we don't have a whole lot of it. The front yard, I've let it get away with me a little bit. I need to trim my bushes back. Uh, but other than that, it's pretty decent. Uh, well, the wife is a Cardinals fan. Uh, Louisville Cards or Louisville University of Louisville Cardinal fan. Um, she's a graduate of Eastern Kentucky University. She might also be a graduate of um, University of or Louisville or whatever it is. Yeah, she's a native. Uh, I can't remember. Um, Maybe EKU is her where she got her bachelor's from, but I don't know. I think that's maybe she just had to take some classes there. She's just a fan. But anyway, and that's why there's that. I'm not a big one that puts a whole lot of football, fandom stuff out. Um, I wouldn't have like there's Alabama tag on the front of my truck, and it wouldn't be there, but someone bought it for me, and I put it on there. I usually don't mark my vehicles, and it was something I started doing in the military. I didn't want to put anything that identified me as military no more than I had to. And that's why military posts stopped uh, giving you the little stickers, vehicle stickers, so that you wouldn't be automatically, you know, seen as military. Now, you're around a military post, you're walking around with a high and tight haircut. Guess what? People gonna think you're military. So it's pretty easy to spot you. The way you act, the way you dress, the way you walk, all of that is easy to identify someone is either in the military or military, you know, coincidental or whatever. Um, so yeah, but still, you don't want them to identify y'all already. But bottom line, that's why I don't put stuff on my truck. It's just I don't know. Uh, but that being said, I did think about painting a red A on my roof of my garage, so that when the satellite come over and took a picture of it, it'd be there. Uh, VDM, yep, the stickers. Miss those days. Yeah, it was nice because they seen the sticker on your vehicle, and unless they were doing some type of special check, they'd wave you on through. Um, and now every single person stops and has to scan their ID or, you know, which makes it aggravating. So I wanted to show y'all a couple of tools that I've really enjoyed using during this build. Both of them are like I've really picked them up. And then I got a bad one I want to tell you about, which I don't know if it's going to stop me from being someone who uses that tool or not, but still, visually distinct. Yeah, okay. I didn't get it right away. So it's this. The first one is this Stay Geek marker set. So it comes with uh, a yellow, green, and red little pencil. So that's some type of graphite, but the other two are yellow and red. And then it's got smaller ones, 2 millimeter, I guess, or whatever. It's also got a nice scribe, and it's sharp. And then it's got a nice center punch. It's an automatic one, so you take and you press it down until it pops. And then you got these little long nib markers, and there's 3 of each of these, except for the scribe and the center punch. And then it's got uh, 2 each. No, one. It's got 6 things of refills. 3 for the bigger and 3 for the smaller. It comes with 2 sharpeners, one for the smaller size, one for the bigger size. Comes with a little eraser, and it comes with an extra point for your automatic center punch. I think it might be slightly different size. I don't know. The thing is, it's an awesome little kit, and for $20, it's not bad at all. I mean, it's really not bad. It it's one of those few tools that I call it a tool, but it's something I picked up lately that I really like it. I really like using it. It has come in super handy, and I'm sure I'm going to be able to use it for other stuff other than marking my wood. The second thing is this hammer. Now, this hammer, let me look. So it's a dead blow mallet, corner and edge specialist. Uh, I think this is I think this is for like um, masons. I think I'm not 100% positive, but I've been using it as a soft-headed dead blow hammer, and I've really enjoyed it. The bad thing is it's not cheap. I bought this through uh it's a website that does mainly German tools. I forget the name of it now. Maybe one of you'll know which one I'm thinking of. They have a daily deal, and But anyway, it's called a Halder Secure All. The bad thing is, like I says, it's not cheap. It's $59. So I don't know that I could tell you to buy it because of recommend it because of the price. What I can tell you is I really enjoyed using it. I bought it cheaper from that site. Um, I just can't remember. I bought it last Black Friday, not '05, '04 Black Friday sales, or they were gray something week. It's like KC Tool. Is it KC Tool? Yeah, that's what it is. KC Tool Company. So I've really liked it. Great hammer. I've been using it to knock the joist into place when I cut them too tight, or to when I'm adjusting my hangers, my joist hangers, what I do is I clamp them on the end of the board, and then I use this knock them in the place where I need it to be. It's been great. Yeah, KC Tool. It's a great place for your. They don't always have the best price on stuff, but if you pay attention, you can find some real good stuff. I'm gonna give you the address for it. I've bought a few. I've spent a little bit of money with Casey Tool. It hasn't been bad. Those are. I've enjoyed using them completely. I mean, and that pencil set, that's a highly recommend. It's a get it period because yeah, not trying to sell you on stuff. I'm an Amazon affiliate, but I'm telling you, I love that little pencil set. The hammer, if it was cheaper, if it was about $30, I would I would be screaming at you to buy it. It at at almost $60 makes it a little hard, especially when you've got Tecton that sells you Trusty Cook and a few others like that. One thing I will say about it is a dead blow hammer, so I don't know if you can hear that, but it's not the plastic stuff all the way. This part here is steel, and I haven't tried. These ends may be replaceable. I'm not positive though. I don't have a pry bar with me to try. So now I'm gonna tell you the bad. Now, if you're on my Facebook, you probably already know the bad. For the past month and a half, maybe a little longer, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I started noticing, I never really checked it, but I started noticing my cuts weren't square. And I'm like, okay, it's my saw. So I took and I squared up my saw, and it was a problem. It wasn't squared. The zero mark wasn't 90 or 90 or whatever. It wasn't 90, wasn't giving me a 90-degree cut. So I squared it up and I check it. Then, I noticed my fence wasn't right and sometimes it got in the way. So I did things to fix it. This is a Craftsman. I think it's a 10-inch uh, sliding miter arm, miter, sliding arm miter saw. But here, you know, well, what I've been doing though is I've decided that I'm just going to take my miter square, and make a full mark, and then line my saw blade up to that and cut because I was getting very frustrated because I would cut something a 16th shorter or an eighth shorter, and it'd still be a tight fit, and I was getting super aggravated. I got to noticing my cuts weren't square, so I would make one end longer than the other. So I looked and I checked, and this was my um what's the name of it? Swanson. It was a Swanson miter square. It's a newer one. I bought it probably, well, it was sometime after 2016. At some point, I lost or I broke, I messed up the thing that tightens up the ruler in your miter square, it actually, the brass pulled through, and that nib, that little nib that's in there, sheared off. That's exactly what happened. I think I said something different on Facebook, but I'm trying to remember here. Well, I got that, and it's Swanson. You trust it, right? But I've always kind of noticed there was a little bit of play in it, period. I could not tighten it up past that play. So I've, been using it forever. But finally, I'm like, let me check the square. I just made this cut. I know it's dead on that line that I made. Let me check how square it is, and it wasn't. And I took and I looked at the board, because a lot of these boards aren't square, well, aren't flat. So, like, especially on your treated lumber, let's say this is the edge, right? You're looking at the edge. Well, on the very end, it'll be in a little bit. And then it'll be flat the rest of the way, unless there's a knot or something like that, and it might protrude out a little bit. Or it might have a bow in it. But I checked this, and I looked at it, and I looked at another way, and it still wasn't square. And I'm like, I don't think it's the wood on this one. And then I checked it with my Swanson Speed Square, and it was out of square. And I'm like, you done messed me up. Then I just bought one from Menards, because my other one was only 12 inches and I needed something bigger. I got a 16 incher, because every inch matters, right? Now I checked it with it, and again, it was out of square. I got one more, and I checked it, and they all said that the newer Swanson was out of square. So I took my old one. I had still had the ruler and the slider part. I took that new little nib hole, the little thing that tightens. I pulled it out of the new one, put it in the old one. Perfect. Perfectly square. The old one now is, I believe I bought it back around 92, 93. I've had it forever. It's got a little bit of weld splatter on it here and there, or marks where weld splatter once was. So I don't know. That bothers me, though, because Swanson is one of those things that I really, really trusted. Maybe I shouldn't have. Trust but verify. I don't know. What do y'all think about that? That was a long rant. I probably lost some people. I had a little bit of burp coming up just I was drinking that, and that was not a good feeling. Oh, but yeah. One more thing. I think I sent you an email, Pete. I still would like the information. I was wanting to know what pressure your bottom two gauges run on your heater when it's running. But I think I fixed the heater. So it's always run weird. And sometimes I'd have to reset it 4, 5, 6 times to get it to stay on and run. I thought it was because of the draft, and it still could be a result of it a little bit. But what I did the other day yesterday, is I finally got to looking at the CAD. And I have looked at it before. The CAD, it's the sensor that detects a flame. It detects light. The more light it gets, the lower ohms. So I checked it, and with it off, I got 5 mega ohms or 5,000 ohms, something. I forget what it was. With the heater on, it overloaded. And I thought maybe I'm doing something wrong. But I got to thinking maybe the sensor is not looking the right way. Maybe it's looking just off. And so I moved it one way, bent the little bracket one way, and it did the same thing. Bent the bracket a little bit different. It's been running ever since. It run through its first. It actually run through its first tank till it shut off. Now it has run through a tank before, but never because you know I went inside and let it run all night. And this so it so I went into the shop this morning, and while it was colder than what had my temp set at, it was 57 degrees in the shop, and it was in the 30s or high 20s this morning. And it was out of fuel. So I filled it up, and it's been running all day. And yeah, it's nice to actually have um, a actual deal, a heater. Now, the I asked Pete about his because he's got the same one, just a different name on it. The people who make his bought the company that makes mine, I think. His is a Lanair, I believe, and mine is I forget what mine is. They're the same thing. But Pete, that 3.5 psi, mine sits on zero. The two bottom ones sit on zero all the time. The top one sits on about 3.5 psi, maybe a little more. But the two bottom ones sit on zero. One of them actually registers a vacuum, but it isn't vacuum. But they both sit on zero. The top one sits on 3.5, the one up on top of the deal. So I'm wondering if it's just my bad draft that's causing a real sooty flame, or it could be the pump, an issue with the pump. I'm going to do some more digging, but right now it works. And I'm pretty happy to have that because that propane was getting expensive. I could go through that 30-pound tank in 2 days. And that's 10 gallons at, let's say, $3 a gallon. I was paying more than that, and I found it someplace cheaper. It's paying $3 a gallon, $10 a gallon, $30. Was going through it in about 2 days. Plus, I had two other propane, two of the regular size that I was using for my little heater. And then every 2 days, I was getting 20 gallons of kerosene, or $20 worth. No, not 20 gallons, $20 worth of kerosene. So, yeah, that gets expensive. Right now, I think I've got 30 gallons of oil, which now that it's working, will not last me very long. I'm going to hit the interwebs up and find me some oil somewhere, somehow. I'm going to try to go get some Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or whatever. They've got plenty of people out there giving away free oil and all that. The bad thing is, it's hard to know what you got So what I do, first of all, I've got a screen, like a window screen in my funnel that I have built up from my barrel. So that catches any objects, but you also have to watch it as you're going in. And if it's got any water in it, it's going to be at the bottom of the jug or whatever. It's going to start coming out close to last, and you can see it. If you pay attention, you can see it. And out of 3 jugs that I got out of my stash that I got from someone else, 2 of them had a little bit of water, not much, but just a little bit of water. So they've got about this much left in the bottom of them that I can't use. And what I'll probably do, I'm gonna probably make me a settling container that I'll pull out of, that'll let all the trash and water settle to the bottom. And I'll pull out of it to go into my feed barrel. And at some point, my feed barrel I'm going to build a pump for it that through, pulls the fluid through a filter and then pushes it into the tank because it takes forever to fill it up, gravity feeding, because the little faucet, I'm using a regular household faucet, and I guess the opening just isn't big enough. Yeah, but yeah, uh, yeah, that's pretty good bit of oil, Pete. And I don't have that type of, I don't change everybody's oil. I'm thinking about it, telling all my kids, hey, start bringing your vehicle over here to change the oil. Hey, you can, when I get the lift put in, you can use it to change your oil. I'll just make you, leave your oil for me. I think so. My son changes his oil. I change mine. I don't know about the wife's kids. I don't know what they do. I think I've changed the oil in my daughter-in-law's one time, stepdaughters one time. Um, so I might put it out there and start doing oil changes. I don't know. How much do you charge for oil change? I don't want to do a full service, but I guess I could include it, maybe $20 for a service. And probably won't, it'll probably take me forever, but maybe $20 for a service. Make sure tell them the only things included is I make sure their airs are right pressure. Change your fluids. They have to buy their fluids and filter. Change your fluids and check the washer. I ain't gonna check their transmission or none of that. I don't know. What do you think, Pete? I mean, because it would be a good way to store up plenty of oil for the winter. I'll probably need 400 gallons. I'll probably need 400 gallons to get me through a winter here, but it might be more than that. Water and antifreeze is a problem. Yep. Because they don't care. They're giving it away. Once you get your lift going, yeah. Oil is getting crazy expensive to how others do. Yeah. It my wife's gets done at Valvoline. I'm going to start doing hers, but at Valvoline, and I might start doing this. They vacuum it out. They don't they stopped pulling the drain plug. They vacuum the oil out and they fill it. They do it all from the top. Um, unless they got to get to the filter from the bottom, and it's like $50 or something. Uh, Oil is getting crazy. I started doing my own again. Used to run straight diesel when I didn't have enough oil. Yeah, I've thought about mixing it 50-50, maybe. I can't remember ever having someone else change my oil. I'm too cheap. Hey, I understand. I have done it. I'll tell you, when I worked at GE, when you work that much, time is expensive. Not because I got paid well, but I did. But I had so little time to do anything else. Time was expensive. So I pretty sure I was having my oil changed back then. 99.9% sure. I know I used up a bunch of free oil changes that I had from buying the car, but after those run out, I think I still went to Valvoline. It's just, yeah, I sometimes leave early for work and go do it. Just didn't I didn't have enough time, and I was working so much I didn't want to spend time under a car fooling with the oil change. And for essentially paying someone else, it works out to about 15 to 20 bucks after you buy the oil or less. So to pay someone that much to do it instead of waste an hour doing it myself, which if everything is super ready and you can grab it and go, and you don't have to get out, crawl out from under the car to get it, it shouldn't take 15, 20 minutes. But it's going to take me an hour because I've got to gather all that stuff up, got to jack the car up, got to, grab my jack stands, put them on it, let it down, all the stuff. So it is what it is. $19 plus oil and filter, and I marked them up 30%. If I have to go buy it, I think I will too. Um, so do you just change the oil and filter for $19, or do you do other stuff with that, like check the air pressure and tires and stuff? Paying someone else. Usually 55 to $75 is what it comes to. Yeah, it can get expensive. I'm thinking maybe just do like Harleys and stuff. I don't know. Time is money. Yes, yes, it is. Takes me just under an hour, but I check everything. Okay, that's cool. I don't know. Here's the big problem with doing it outside of the family, even with family, but yeah, is opening yourself up to liability, and that sucks. I don't. That's something that I'm afraid of. I just always have been afraid of it. That's why I'm very, very, very picky about who I do a brake job for. Because even if you do everything right and the brakes don't fail, if an accident happens after that brake job, you still have to prove they can come after you and you have to prove that it wasn't your brake job that caused it. And to do that takes money. So yeah. Yeah, insurance. So I got to figure out whether it's worth it for me. To get insurance, I'd have to actually be out there in it, daily, 8 to 12 hours doing work on other people's stuff. I imagine to pay for to make it worth it, you know. Insurance now thing, you risk liability, full inspection, fill tires, wash your fluid, check all filters and cabin and air. Okay. Visual insurance. Insurance is crazy. I bet it is. Um, Smart. Society is too, yeah. And it's everyone wants to blame someone if something happens. And they're going to blame the person that is the easiest to blame. or the least able to fight. And I just I don't want to fool with that. Even when I help the young man up the street, it I'm very, you know, I'm very iffy on whether I want to do it. Especially, I think I replaced a gas. Well, I started working on the gas line for him, and I'm replacing it. And this gas line is rotted through and through. And I've told everyone about this one. And I forget what it was, but he wanted me to use something with it to repair it instead of doing this the right way or whatever. And I really didn't want to do it. I was afraid of leaks and all that. I eventually did it, but I really, really, when I do something, I want to do it right, right, right. Like the best way I can do it. For instance, way back when I did do work on cars for on the regular. This was back in the 90s. If I replaced the engine for you, if let's say you brought me a junkyard engine, we're replacing the oil pump, we're going to replace the water pump, we're going to replace all the belts, and there was something else. But I wasn't doing it unless you replaced all this stuff. Um, I wanted you to have the best chance of this thing surviving. And yeah, plus, the fluids and all that stuff. That's the way I did it back then. So, and plus, my body would not. It just wouldn't be able to handle doing it every day for 8 to 12 hours a day. It just wouldn't. I mean, I am struggling now, and every day when I get up, first of all, it hurts. I'm hurting in the bed, laying. Even when I get up the next morning, I'm hurting just laying there. And I'm not saying this for sympathy, just to give you an idea. And then when I get up and walk, like yesterday morning, I told the wife when she hugged me, "Don't squeeze, baby." It was painful. Um, Now during the day, it gets to where I can walk normal without struggling. So to see me, you're like, he's not in pain. I've got, and I guess I don't know if my mind is getting used to the pain at that point during the day, or if it's actually easing up and hurting less. The body may be sending a little bit of extra oil to the joint or whatever. I don't know what it is. So during the day, I may be able to get around, but let me sit down like I'm doing right now. Even let's say I've been working 3 hours and I sit down right now and I go to get up, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt to move, and it's going to hurt like that for 20 to 30 minutes, maybe. So let's see. Exactly right. Dad helps by providing tools and advice that's about it. Quit helping others outside of direct family for that reason. Yeah. Put all the stuff that is wrong on invoices. Sometimes I do have to tell the customer their car is unsafe to drive. Yeah, that's frustrating. I got to drive on the lift because my knees are bad. Yeah, all the climbing up and down and the bending over to pick up stuff has been rough while doing these joists. Climbing up and down, it's like 2 or 3 steps I got to climb to get up onto the scaffold. But I'm always sore and creaky when I get up. I'm 63 though. Yeah, I don't, brother. I don't know. I'm scared of 63. I plan on making it way past that, but I am hoping beyond hope that things don't get worse. Inversion table. I haven't tried inversion table. Is that where they put you upside down? But I have had them put me on the stretch on the machine that pulls you apart, and it helps very temporarily, like 10 minutes. But it does help. The doc, I forgot all about it. Well, I just seen the doc this week. I do a 6 month checkup. I've told y'all before. Do a 6 month checkup with VA. They do full blood work. Well, not full blood work, mostly full. They were checking my PSA. I think that's what it called, but they stopped because she was like, "You really don't need it. I know you had some concerns, but you really don't need it." But now she's telling me maybe next year we're going to start back again. Um, but the doc asked me about doing needles, acupuncture, if I was interested in it. So I might try it. My shoulder here, physical therapy was helping. I've stopped doing the things that he recommended and I've pushed it back out. It was actually slightly out of position, not out of place, but it wasn't in place. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it wasn't completely out of the socket, it just wasn't where it's supposed to be. So on my first appointment, he actually pushed it back in place. Now I still have issues with the ligament, or the tendon, but it was better. And I was doing exercises to help it get better. Well, I've got it back out of place now. And I don't want to go back to him because I haven't been doing the exercises that he wants me to. And they're very judgmental. Tell them you ain't been doing what you're supposed to, and they'll get on to you. And it may not be like a chewing out. It may be this condescending, you know, so you just don't care about yourself, huh? Am I boring everybody? See, I couldn't even walk, but now I manage pretty good. I may try it. I may try. Was that with an inversion table? What Rob was talking about, or was that with needles, acupuncture, decompression? Okay, and and you will. You need to be around for a good long while. Yeah, I want to. I've always told my boys I want to live over 100 and something. I want to still be riding when I'm in my 80s. I don't know if that's realistic, but I think we've got some people in this little group that we belong to. I think we've got some people that might be getting close to that. I don't know, Scott. Maybe you'll know. Um, but yeah, I want to be. I've got a lot of roads left to ride, and while that's not my number one goal, number one thing I'm looking forward to, it's really high up on my list. I really want to live and experience things that I never got to experience for my 20 something years in the Army. Um, I wasn't really talking about the Jeep riders, Scott. I was talking about the Daubers. There's some pretty old. I know there's a bunch in their 70s, a bunch in their 70s. Just don't know. I know Smokey might be in his 80s though. I think maybe if he's not, he's real close. Um, but yeah. Oh, last thing. Last thing, unless we get on another topic concerning tools, do not buy the Vim ratchet, the Vim electric ratchet. Don't, not Vim, a vessel. Don't buy it. It sucks. I've got to do a video on it. It sucks. Might this be useful for 1/4 inch stuff? Yeah. maybe. I haven't tried it, but it has little to no torque. I mean, it's sad. It's very sad. And I thought maybe the battery wasn't charged enough, even though I put it on the charger and it was green in just a few minutes. I put it and it wasn't working great. I put it back on the charger, let it charge overnight, come back out, it's green. It sucks. Do not buy it. Big, 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 big waste of money. Now, I haven't tried it with quarter inch stuff. It may be okay for underhood stuff. But this 3/8 kit, you got to buy a separate adapter for the quarter inch. This 3/8 kit, you're not doing nothing with any of these sockets. Let's see, let me get my finger here. Any of these sockets on this end. You're not doing nothing with those. I'm very, very, very disappointed. I really like Vessel stuff. I'm a big, big fan of Vessel stuff. Y'all know I've done a few videos here and there. I've got some tools that I really enjoy. Okay, my screwdriver's not in here for some reason. I guess I got it outside. That little Vessel electric ball screwdriver, I love that thing. I love it. Don't buy it. I'll buy the adapter and I'll get the little quarter inch adapter and I'll see if it's worth a flip. But I'm not holding my breath. I'd be ashamed to even try to sell that. Remember, for those of you that are close to my age, do you ever go to the flea markets and see them selling all those crappy cheap tools? Not the crappy cheap tools you buy in, whatever. The the crappier cheap tools that they sell on these at these flea markets, you know, for good prices. Yeah. I feel more comfortable selling someone those than this. Maybe I'm being too hard on it. Maybe I'm being too hard on it. But I had I wasn't expecting a ton out of it, but I did expect it to spin a you know, maybe a 5/8 size or half-inch nylock nut. I did expect it to spin it a little bit. No, it won't do it. Yeah, Pakistani tool company. India made tools. That's mostly what I seen. And even back then, when I was going through flea markets when I was 12 and 13 or whatever, Japanese tools was the crap. It was junk back then. Now I don't think it is anymore, but and this, even though it's a Japanese brand, is I don't know, it might be made in Taiwan. It says made in Japan. I don't know. I don't think they have as strict, they don't have the laws on labeling that we do. And our laws ain't that great on it, but yeah, made in the USA with global components. I understand how that works because I worked in a manufacturing plant. Remember those days when made in Japan was a joke? Yeah. This was, I can remember, I've got a distinct memory, and I'm going to close it after this. I really am, because I'm losing everybody. I have a very distinct memory of walking through the flea market in Huntsville, Alabama. I don't remember how old I was. Okay. I don't. But the song Just a Swingin' had come out, and everybody was selling off, you know, They were selling t-shirts and stuff with that deal on it. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Just a swinging. The song was huge, but I can remember that was a big thing at the time. And I was walking through this big flea market, big outside, yard sale type deal. And looking at these crappy tools, with the plastic spinner and the ratchets. I think the little thing that changed directions, John Anderson, the things that changed directions, I think they were like ceramic or something because they would break the first time you used your ratchet as a hammer. Because that's what a kid does. Yeah, John Anderson, that's his name. Okay. Thank y'all for playing along with me. Um, it was I liked tonight. I got on a kick there, but maybe y'all did, maybe y'all didn't. Thank y'all for joining. I will see y'all next week. Just a little bit more left on that loft until I pause for probably a year. Got to save up some money or pay this one off or whatever the case may be. Those beams, it was just under $1,000 to put those beams together. Ridiculous. The bottle of glue was 30 some, almost $40. Thank y'all. Y'all take care. Hope y'all have a wonderful week. And yeah, I'll see y'all next Sunday. Have a great night. You too, Scott. You too, Pete.